So Fidias, you know, the guy who this dude, he supports, oh my god, he 100% deleted the post. So this guy is one of the most anti-Ukraine politicians in the European Parliament. He is a YouTuber from Cyprus, and he got elected as an MP to the EU Parliament. And while there, he has spent a significant amount of time trying to downplay the crisis of Russia not handing over the kidnapped children back to them. He's tried to argue against all sorts of aid to Ukraine, financial and military, humanitarian and defensive aid. And he has generally spoken against the idea of Ukraine getting in the European Union at an accelerated pace due to the war. So at every single point, at every single step, he has been in opposition to Ukraine getting closer to Europe, defending itself, or getting the aid it needs to survive, as well as downplaying the suffering that Ukrainians are going through in his quest to try to stop aid to Ukraine and try to make the argument that the best way to move forward with the Russians is simply talking with them. Well, in the aftermath of a recent strike that was done by Iran against Cyprus, where you can see here, point of view southeast direction, alleged incoming ordnance or interceptor sighted from the roundabout entrance to the military base of the Royal Air Force. My goodness, it seemed that a Russian drone was able to get all the way to Cyprus, which as part of the European Union is part of the European community. Now, this had an effect in a few ways. Ironically enough, one effect was that President Zelensky actually spent a significant portion of time talking about in a recent address how the Ukrainians could help Europe defend itself. Europe must finally equip itself with real strength, real ability to defend its skies, its land, and its sea against any type of attack. In particular, this means building sufficient air defense production capacity, both against drones and against ballistic missiles. The situation in the Middle East shows how difficult it is to provide 100% protection against missiles and Shahed drones. Even in the Gulf countries, which have more advanced air defense systems than those provided to us so far by our partners, and have them in larger quantities, not all ballistic missiles are intercepted. There were also Shaheds, and the air defense in the region did not stop them. Everyone can now see that Ukraine's experience in defense is, in many respects, irreplaceable. We are ready to share this experience and help those nations that helped Ukraine this winter throughout this war. We are ready to work on developing Europe's shared defensive capabilities. Europe must have enough air defense missiles, enough experience in shooting down drones, and sufficient production of modern interceptor drones. Together, we can make this happen. Thank you to everyone working to strengthen the power of a united Europe. So he's offering to try to share experience in knocking these Shahed drones out of the sky. He's trying to offer, his knowledge on ballistic missile interception. He's saying he wants to not only share knowledge, but work with them. Yeah, I mean, I even heard that Zelensky offered to help Gulf countries with air defense against these types of missiles if they could work to maintain some ceasefire with the Russians. I'll believe it when I see it. And I'll also believe a ceasefire when I see it, which is another reason why I find it not as likely in the immediate term. But this shows an interest in Ukraine to provide an air defense capacity to Europe through knowledge and experience that they simply cannot get anywhere else against the exact type of drone model that has been used against them in mass, with over 50,000 kamikaze drones being thrown against the Ukrainians. So it is in this context that I do ask that someone please find the video that Fidias deleted, because he posted a video.
Burns is an immoral, morally corrupt,
bankrupt man. And I guess he deleted it. He doesn't look like he released a statement explaining his deletion. But he released a video calling for Europe to take military action in response to Cyprus being bombed, saying that Europe must defend itself. The irony after so many times calling for Europe to just roll over, just look the other way as Ukraine gets bombed, ignore the kidnapping, ignore the continued attacks, ignore the fact that Putin wanted the war when he started it and he wants the war today. Ignore it all. Ignore it all. I'm sure if we just talk a little bit harder and we continue to not act, something will happen. Renegade Chungus, thank you for the tier 1 sub. You said Fidias said Ukrainian kids wanted to go to Russia. Yes, that is what he said about the kidnapped kids. Yes. It is. Pretty horrible thing to say, but that's what he said. Here's a picture of it, so you know it's real. He just deleted it. Imagine jumping to defend your country and then reversing it once you figure out that advocating for your own country's defense is hypocritical. By the way, I found the video. Just did. Here it is. Why did you delete this video? Not very direct democracy, full transparency, peace and love of you.
Cyprus just been hit right now by Iran. Cyprus is a member state in the European Union. I am a member of the European Parliament from Cyprus. We want and we expect a united response from the entire European Union. Cyprus is an EU territory, and one attack on a member state should be considered as an attack to the entire European Union. I'm calling and talking to all the leaders of the European Union. We should give an example that nobody should mess with EU countries. God bless everyone, and let's hope that peace will come soon.
I mean, calling him a hypocrite is not fair to hypocrites. This is not hypocritical on a normal level. This is God tier level of hypocrisy. God tier level. This is competitive hypocrisy. If there was hypocrisy at the Olympics, people would be testing Fidias for a doping scandal, assuming that that's just not possible to be that hypocritical and that blissfully naive and unaware of your hypocrisy until 24 hours passes and someone says, oh yeah, I guess that does make it. How could we defend Cyprus in this way, but not Ukraine? Took him 24 hours, man. Like his whole entire system had to be reloaded, an entire system reboot for him to get it. And then he doesn't say, never mind, or he doesn't correct himself. He doesn't try to further explain it to try to find a way that it actually does make sense. And he's not hypocritical. He does not apologize. He does not explain it anyway. He just pretends it didn't happen. He just pretends he didn't say for an attack on one EU state to be treated like an attack on all, that Europe had to act as a united body or lose its credibility. Because if you were to apply that logic consistently while Ukraine is on the path to EU membership, and if you would apply the logic that he's trying to apply of this idea that you have to disincentivize this type of action, you have to respond to this type of action, forceful responses is how you stop. You've got to gain respect, not necessarily stop giving respect, but you need to gain respect through acting respectable, and acting respectable is defending your people. And instead of applying that policy consistently between his own country and Ukraine, he chose to throw his own country under the bus rather than also extend a consistent hand of support out to the Ukrainians. He would rather have his country be put under this target, would rather the war spill over into Cyprus's borders and he stay silent and he temper his tone and watch his tongue when speaking of the nations that bomb his people as their duly elected representative, because if he doesn't, he might say something that could have been used to also support Ukraine. If he says anything, the hypocrisy just slips out of his mouth and spills out like a fountain. Spills out like a busted oil rig. Like the two in Saudi, to make that topical. Either way, the reason he deleted this is because he can't keep a consistent worldview. And so instead of keeping a consistent worldview, he'll just delete the stuff that is inconsistent and then not address it again. Not addressing the shakes and the cracks in the foundation of how he views Europe's common defense is Ukrainophobic and doesn't include Ukraine, as if to specifically cut out exemptions to appease the Russians, but not anyone else. I mean, let's be real. Who has attacked Europe with more air attacks? This one drone that flew over into Cyprus, or the 500,000 thrown into Europe, many of whom has spilled over into other European states?